There's no judgment, only grace. Every scar has a sacred place. In the truth, we're not alone. Every story finds a home. Come as you are, don't be afraid. You belong here anyway. We rise in love, we heal in trust. This is where real begins. No judgment.
Welcome to No Judgment here with Tish Ross, the podcast. I'm so glad that you guys are here. I'm going to bring Mirakle in. There she is. There's Mirakle. Oh my gosh. Thank you for coming on. You guys, look how gorgeous Mirakle is. And I'm sure that you guys had already seen that on the promo video. Her parents, David and Samantha, sent some pictures in and just, oh, so beautiful. So thank you so much for coming in, Mirakle, and for being super brave and saying yes to sharing your thoughts and your feelings on what it's like to be a senior in high school. First and foremost, Mirakle, how was homecoming? I know homecoming was this past weekend. How was the whole experience for you?
It was fun. Most school dances really aren't what you expect they're gonna be when you're in middle school and you're waiting to get to high school. You think it's gonna be like it is in movies basically, but it's really just it's fun, but it's not really awesome. But
Yeah.
it was storming really bad before we went, so I didn't know if it was even gonna be going on still or not. But once we got there, it was pretty fun.
Nice. Okay. And so did you have a date or did you just go with friends?
No, I went with some of my friends. They go to
So
a
let me
different school.
Okay, gotcha. And so did you feel pressured to have a date or did you feel just fine just going with your friends?
Well, every school dance I've ever went to, I've only went with friends just because I feel like it's a better experience whenever you're with just your girlfriends rather than figuring out a guy you're gonna go with or something. So not
Mhm.
really, honestly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so that is so new from like our generation.
Yeah.
So when I was going to school, there was major pressure to have a date, to hopefully be asked, and if you weren't, it was like you were a loser. And
Yeah.
I always went with my girlfriends. And we'll talk about this in a minute, but was very much through high school and probably my first year in college. And I speak the truth and I'm not ashamed of it. And it may be too much information for some people, but I hope that it's not.
Mhm.
But I was a girl who was not doing all the things that other girls were doing. And I'm not judging other girls. Like if you did things with guys, okay, so be it. I really, it doesn't affect me. The
Mhm.
only way that if it affected me in terms of my choices and not doing anything sexual, um I never had a date. And it was a long time before I even had my very first kiss. And
Yeah.
so I think I was the only cheerleader that didn't have a mom. And it those kind of things back then, there was a ton of pressure to be accepted or to be popular or to be in the in group. Are
Mhm.
those things still important to people? Is that still a part of school or have times changed in that?
I mean, there's definitely still the popular group and stuff like that. It's not really. I feel like there's a lot of people who don't care about it, but there is still some people who are wish that they could be in that group, but you have to it's like you have to meet certain standards basically to be accepted by them.
What are your standards? Like, do you strive to be in a group? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest, Miracle. I was trying to be in the popular group, but it wasn't
Yeah.
happening because I wasn't doing the things to get accepted into the group. So I was always the oddball out. And as a Christian and a virgin,
Mhm.
I was, I don't want to say shunned or bullied for it, but I was just a loner. I was a loner. I had a couple of good friends that I hung out with on occasion, but when it came to homecoming and then prom and dances, I did not fit in. I was an awkward being, very awkward. So, how about you?
Well, I've moved schools every year since my freshman year. I moved
Really?
besides my last year, my junior and my senior year, I've went to in high school. My junior year and my senior year, I went to Sapulpa both years.
Mhm.
So it's been like it's kind of hard to make a new group of friends whenever you're the new kid, especially in high school. So
Mm.
ever since then, my freshman year, I went to that school from 6th grade up. So I had my group and with that was fine, but once I moved, that's when I'm basically a loner. Like I have friends and I talk to people, but I don't really care about being in a group or
Mm.
anything because especially now with it being my senior year, I just want to get it over with. I'm not really worried about having a group of friends, honestly.
Yeah, no, I get that. And that, being I think it takes a lot of focus off of number 1, being your true authentic self, being true to who you are. So if anybody's listening, if you're like I was, and maybe times have changed, but um if you're focusing on trying to get in with a quote unquote group, um you're really, gosh, I hate to say this, but I would say this as a mother, you're wasting your time because a lot of, maybe not all, but a lot of times people are going in different directions, and for the most part, people grow apart, or you don't see those people anymore. Now, if you
Yeah.
do, fantastic, but sometimes, for the most part, um, you don't.
I think that the only like downfall about not being in a group is like after games or something or just on the weekends having like the friends to hang out with, but other than that I don't think it really matters because at the end of the year, it's especially your senior year because that's when everyone goes off to college and stuff like that. It's really not going to matter.
And so, with it being your senior year, and there's so much senior stuff to do, right? So you've already experienced your very last homecoming, and
Hmm.
you guys have prom. Will prom be coming up soon?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a little bit towards the end of the school year, I think.
Okay. So with all of these things that are happening, and you are soon to graduate, you and I were chatting about the pressures of doing just that, graduating, and mostly the pressure of what you're going to do right after high school. And one of the things that I used to hear a lot, we were just chatting about it, is a lot of kids in school where I was going to school would say where they were going to college. Like they knew their junior year, they were already going and visiting colleges, and their senior year, they already knew where they were going. And
Hmm.
myself, being in a family of 5, my dad was the man of the house, and he worked 2 jobs. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and so she took care of all 5 of us kids, and we my parents didn't know, and I didn't know, to look for scholarships or grants or things like that. So, basically, my dad could not afford to send 5 kids to school. Like I was saying, he was doing a great job to keep a roof over our head, keep us clothed, and keep us fed. So I was embarrassed in school when I would hear people my senior year, even end of junior year, say, "My parents and I are going to go visit this college, and where are you going to college?" And I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed to say, "Oh, I don't know," or "I don't think I'm going to go to college." And so I guess the embarrassment for me was the pressure of not having an answer. But
Hmm.
I'm here to say today, alongside of you, that there is no need for any student, any child ever, to feel embarrassed whether they're going to school or not. And that's just touching the ice that it's just the icing on the cake, because there are some kids that would say, I know what I'm going to college for. And I was still like, my God, I felt very immature. I felt like I don't even know what I want to do, which in fact, though, we are at that age, we are still so young at 17 that by the time you get into college, your major changes, or most people's majors, or some people's major changes, because they're like, at 17, I really didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
So with all of that being said, do you feel pressure to go to school, or do you feel pressure to know what you're going to be doing when you graduate?
I don't really feel pressure about going to school. Like, I definitely relate to the, like, embarrassed, because, like, I have friends who have it all planned out too, and then they ask me about it, and I'm like, I have no idea, I don't know.
Mhm.
But I do feel now, after, like, thinking about it with my parents moving to Kentucky after I graduate, it's now I need to decide if that's what I wanna do after I graduate and move with them and focus on school and stuff, or if I wanna stay here with my family. So that's the main thing like, feel pressured about right now, is deciding what I'm gonna do when it comes to that.
Mhm.
But with college, I'm not like, it would be awesome to go to college and, like, be in a sorority or something like that, but I'm also fine with going, like, with just not and figuring
Mhm.
something else out.
My question is, do you feel pressure from your parents to make a decision to move, or is that pressure, or where's the pressure coming from? Is the pressure, are you placing the pressure on yourself, like, gosh, I need to make a decision? Where's that pressure coming from?
It's kind of from myself and from both of my parents, because I know either way, like, not that it'll hurt their feelings or
Mm,
something, but, like, I'm just either gonna have to go with my dad or I'm gonna have to leave my mom. So it's like,
mm,
I don't know. It's
mhm.
it's a pressure against me and kind of from them in a way, but I don't know.
I get that. I mean, I could imagine having, the thought of moving, and one parent being in one state, and then you're going to another state with the other parent, or staying in one state with one parent and the other parent's leaving. I can imagine
Mhm.
that sometimes, I'm assuming that the pressure comes from maybe emotion and inner
Yeah.
feeling, the struggle of, gosh, I don't know what decision that I should make. But you being a Christian is, and being a prayerful young woman, is going to guide you to the right decision, and ultimately.
Mhm.
And certainly, knowing David and Samantha, and I don't know your mom, but I'm sure that whatever decision that you make, I'm sure that, they will all support you, and I'm sure that you'll be able to travel as well.
Mhm.
Um, but I want to move to being a Christian in school, and I kind of touched base on it earlier with me being in school and being a Christian. And my daughter, I chatted with her too to get some other insight as well, because times have changed. But me being a person that didn't want to do anything with boys, but also was very left out because I was a Christian. My daughter, the same. She was a cheerleader and a drum major and a Christian in school. And boy, she got bullied. I dare say, when you and I were chatting, that I shared with you the truth when you and I were talking about, we wonder what it would be like to just not try to be so good,
Mhm.
wonder what it's like to do the things that we see other people are doing, experimenting in. So tell me what it is like for you to be a Christian in school.
Well, honestly, I honestly haven't been the best Christian in school. Like, there's times when, like, over the summer, we'd have a church camp, False Creek, that we'd go to. And then there was one year before my junior year, last year, after it, I was doing really good. So, like, the first semester of my junior year was, like, the one of the best years that I had. I really was, wasn't focused on, like, what everyone else was doing at school, but
Mhm.
trying to stay like that and like, I don't know, just do what's good when you're at school is really hard because of everybody else and just like, I don't know. My thing is mainly wanting to have an like stories to tell my kids and stuff and like have the fun experience. So I feel like you say the wanting to know what it's like to not be good so good all the time. I feel like mine would probably be the what it's like to be good all the time. And
Do you think okay, so I'm going to say this in that I've got stories to tell my kids because when
yeah.
the drinking age when I reached 21, bam, it was
Mm,
I think there are a lot of people. I can say there are probably a lot of people, especially me when I graduated high school. I was like, "Sweet, I'm out." And a lot of people that I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for others. I walked away from my faith. I walked
mhm,
away. I walked away. I don't want to say from my faith. I walked away from the church. I walked away from what I knew was right all the time. And when the drinking age turned 21, I was in the college and I was like, yeah, I'm going to experience this. But those stories now that I have to share, which were not stories that am proud of at
yeah.
all. I would give anything if I could be if I didn't have that drunken story to share
Mhm.
with my daughter. And she asked, and I'm very much a very open mom. And, I'm not going to lie to her and say, oh, no, I never did that. And I have to say, I was very sort of embarrassed to tell my daughter my few drunken episodes.
Yeah.
So if I could go back and not make those decisions and have good stories to share, and I do have good stories, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I wished I didn't have those drunken stories because it was embarrassing to me to have to own and admit that. But she wanted to know, and I told her, and I guess it was just pretty much for me all the curiosity. What is it
Mhm.
like to not have to walk this path all the time? But I can guarantee you, you and I walking down the paths that we are walking down, they're beautiful paths, and you are just a beautiful girl, and
Thank
I know that
you.
you're gonna have just amazing stories whether you stay where you're at or whether you move to Kentucky, and, I commend you for being so super honest about struggling, and it's a I would have to say a lot of us do struggle. A lot of us do we do walk away or we do get angry and say, "You know what? I'm can't do this anymore. I can't measure up." But the measure up is something that for myself, I put on myself. The pressure of being perfect, I put on myself. And we can't be that way. And God knows He didn't design us to be that way. And we're all going to screw up. Um, but thank God He is a forgiving God and a sovereign God. And He loves us no matter what. So when we were talking about, actually, it was when your parents or when David and Samantha, your dad and Sam were live, and they were talking about church. And you kind of popped in and sat in for a second, and you said you were trying to get your sister or sisters to go to church, but they don't want to, and it's just hard because times have changed.
Mhm.
Tell everyone that's listening a little bit about that.
Well, I feel like because whenever I was younger, I have a little brother and a little sister, and
Mhm.
I feel like whenever I was younger, it was like on Wednesdays the church bus would come around and we would all me and all our friends would like go to church and just we maybe wouldn't we would be at church, we would be with our friends, but at the same time we'd still be getting preached to and like learning about God. So it ended up being good. So I've tried to get my siblings to want to do that, but I feel like technology has a big thing with it because now like they have their phones and the Xbox and stuff, so they're basically always occupied. They don't really need something to do because they have an electronic in their hand about all the time. So it's like harder now because we got to try to get them to leave the house and go, and it's church and they're little, so it's not really like something they would want to more than what it was whenever I was a kid and I wanted something to do, and that was what I could do.
That's such great insight, actually, because unfortunately, technology is not only robbing our youth from wanting to go to church, but it's also robbing them of relationships, having face-to-face conversations, a lot of texting and not phone calls. And
Mhm.
then it becomes awkward to actually have a phone conversation or have a face-to-face conversation because you're so used to, the youth now are so used to texting. And so
Mhm.
it's definitely, and I know that but it's definitely not just your siblings that are so just, I guess, addicted to the electronics, things like that, that keeps them preoccupied from developing not just personal relationships, but a personal relationship with the Lord,
Mhm.
which is so important, as you know, to get you through all of life. And as you continue on down your path and praying, should I stay here? Should I move? That's the most important relationship of all. And so your dad, David, and speaking of us wanting to or thinking about the other side or experimenting or whatnot, your dad and Sam were on not too long ago, and they were sharing their testimony about their addictions and how the Lord literally saved them from and freed them from, broke the chains of addiction from their lives. What are your thoughts on alcohol, um, drugs? Are drugs readily available at school, like fentanyl, like all the things that are going on? I'm sure you've heard of the fentanyl overdoses and poisonings and all that stuff. Is all of that at a just within your grasp at school, or what do you think about addiction?
At school, I feel like the main things is probably like nicotine and weed. That's like a big things at school with kids. But with addiction, I feel like it's so everywhere and just like so easy for anybody to just get attached.
Mhm.
So it's something I try to stay far from, especially like because I know with my parents, obviously, and seeing it, how easy it could just ruin my life, literally. So I just don't like it.
Yeah. 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 No, I get that. What do you think about, and I'm going to ask you kind of a personal question, and feel free to say, I'd rather not answer that because, you and I chatted, and I told you that if there's anything that I ask you and you think, I don't want to answer that, totally cool. But you just said that your parents, or David and your dad and Samantha, being addicted and seeing what it was like. What did you see? What was that like?
It was really, it's like a thing that you see that they're going through something and you know what it could be if they wasn't. So it's kind of like it's basically almost a battle of just trying to either convince them or get them to know that there's something else they can do that's so much better, and like it's just a bad time, honestly.
Mm,
It just sucks.
it does. It really does suck. My dad was a raging alcoholic, and I dreaded when he was coming. He was a functioning alcoholic because he could go to work and then start drinking on his way home. And by the time he got home, I was like, oh my gosh. And as a
Mm.
kid, I spent a lot of even my senior middle school, high school days hiding underneath the bed because I knew when he was pulling up, we would look out the window. And if his truck was parked crooked, we thought, oh my gosh. And it is just a daily battle
Mhm.
to remain feeling safe because I was constantly, I know that my siblings were as well, but I'll speak for myself. I was always scared. Like, what kind of condition is he going to be in? And even to this day, it affects me to be around people that are belligerent and
Mhm.
just ridiculously drunk. I will say that I had to quit drinking, like even just socially drinking a couple of beers because it was affecting me. And so I haven't drank in over 3 years, but it just is not good for the addict and not good for the people that are around you, your family. They suffer too. And so you're right. I mean, it does suck.
I'm almost in a way grateful that I've been able to experience though, just so I can see like that's obviously something I never want to do to myself. So at least I've
Mhm.
learned and like know what it can do, and then with my dad I can see how much better it is, and how if that time ever came, which I pray it never does, but I always know that there's always going to be a way that I can get out of it.
Hmm. I love that. And you know what? You are so, that is so amazing to say that you're almost grateful that it happened. That's a very mature thing to say, Miracle, because while I am the same in that, seeing my dad being the way that he was, it having the effect on me that it did, I thought, oh my gosh, I never in my life want my children to feel the way that I felt, which was
Mhm.
always scared, always hiding, until I couldn't fit under the bed anymore and then had to find somewhere else to hide, literally had to find somewhere else to hide. And I appreciate that. And I hope that, no other kids or family has to go through that.
Mhm.
But being the person that you are, you learned from it. And you
Mhm.
learned how you don't want to be. And you learned that the good thing is what an amazing man your dad is to have made the choice, and Samantha to have made the choice to follow the Lord and to get clean and to remain clean for
Mhm.
sure.
Thank you for watching Prospera TV Network. We hope you're enjoying the show. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
There's no judgment, only grace. Every scar has a sacred place. In the truth, we're not alone. Every story finds a home. Come as you are, don't be afraid. You belong here anyway. We rise in love, we heal in trust. This is where real begins, no judgment.
Lazy Days Ahead says it's the fear of disappointing one or the other parent. Okay, so do you feel that pressure if you have to make that choice in terms of, do you feel like you'll let a parent down if you stay here or not stay?
Oh, I don't know if my mom's in here or not, but I honestly kind of feel the pressure more from my mom because I feel like she'll be hurt if I move, because I already moved from her house to here now already. So then
Mhm.
if I move to Kentucky, I feel like it'll really bother her. But I know that she'll understand and be supportive, but I just know that it's gonna, and my 2 younger siblings that are with her also.
Gotcha. Okay. No, and I get that, and I'm sure, I'm sure that you have a great mom as well. You know, I know that my daughter has made a couple of decisions based on, and I hate it, based on feeling like she was going to hurt my feelings or I might be sad.
Mhm.
And I'll speak for myself as a parent, but I'm betting that your mom, even though we might be sad or we might prefer, you know, my daughter doesn't like Texas. She doesn't want to stay in Texas. And I've told her, you shouldn't stay in Texas. You should go. You should go where you feel like you'll be happy. Now,
Mhm.
inside, okay, I could bawl and be like, I don't want you to go. You know, I want her to stay here, but I would never make her stay somewhere where she wasn't happy, but I do know that she's made a couple of decisions, based on she thought that I would be sad. And,
Mhm.
you know, as a mom, I mean, I appreciate that. I love her so much for that, but I don't want her or my son to make decisions based on how they think that I might feel, because that would then make me feel bad, because it does make
Yeah.
me feel bad. And you know, I'll get over it. I mean, we can visit, I can drive or fly or whatnot.
Mhm.
Let's see here. I was so turned off by my high school, I couldn't imagine going to another 4+ years of school. I just wanted to start making money. That was Bowen from Thunderstick Homestead. I mean, hey, you know, to each their own. um Cowboy Steve says, I probably got a much better education doing 4 years in the Navy and traveling the world. Cool. Linda Dobson says, nothing wrong with a junior college. I went to nursing school and got my LVN. That's true. Yeah, nothing wrong with junior college. That's for sure.
I am going to tech right now for business. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
yeah.
Very good. Wow. Well, congratulations. It's huge. Let's see. Bobby says, I quit school in the 11th grade because I worked at an electronic repair shop and was done with all that. I like the money more than learning nothing more. See, bad grammar, but that was from junior high. Okay. Yeah. So I guess when you and I were talking about the things that we're not proud of, Cowboy Steve says, we all have those things that we aren't proud of. Just some of us have more of them than others. And Pooch from Full Blown Country says, notice Pooch is staying quiet. Oh my gosh. Okay. I was hoping that was because Pooch was listening. Okay. So they're all kind of talking to each other. I'm going to scroll on down. Hi, 9 Acre Family Farms. Hello, the Vineyard Farmhouse. Thanks for hopping in. Cowboy Steve says, I guess when we were talking about technology, he says technology is robbing everyone. Last trip to Disney, everyone had their noses in their phones and not enjoying the fact that they were at Disney. Wow. I think that's, you know, I think a lot of people are missing out on a lot of things because our noses are in our phones. And I have to admit, my nose was in my phone quite a bit. In fact, Mirakle and I were talking about our phones and how we kind of have them by our side a lot.
Mhm.
Want to know what's going on in the world.
Yeah, if we make it to the time whenever I can have kids and stuff, I will definitely so technology will be so limited for them just because I see what it's doing, and it could just be so much better if they could actually live in the moment.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so true. And you know what, Miracle? There was a place that I was coaching kids and phones had just come out. So they were really, I mean, I guess it's almost like it is now. So they just came out. And so people's noses were in their phones because they wanted to figure out and see what it was all about. And now it's kind of
Mhm.
what everybody does. But at a gym that I was coaching, there was this like plexiglass or glass windows from ceiling to floor. The parents are on one side, the kids are on the other. And there were kids coming up to the window like tapping, mommy. I mean, and you couldn't hear. And the parents were like on their phone, and then every once in a while would look up, and the kid had already ran off. And I was thinking, oh my
Oh
gosh,
my
you know,
gosh.
yeah. So you're right. Living in the moment that's what it's all about. That's what it
Mhm.
should all be about. Okay. I'm going to go on further down. And if I don't see anything else, I have another, a final question for you. Leanne is here. The Vineyard Farmhouse simply. Thanks everybody for coming in. I'm so, so grateful.
Someone said they're almost ready to give up their phone, and I wish that I could do that sometimes so bad because I just know it'd be better. But I just want to like eventually get to a point where I can limit myself on social media or something, like a few hours a day or something.
And so are you on like, what apps are you? I mean, are you, in terms of social media, are you on Facebook and Instagram,
It's
TikTok?
mainly Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. That's like the 3 I go through.
Mm-hmm. And so do you feel like that you're on there quite a bit during the day?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Especially Snapchat is the worst one. I'm like on that from when I wake up to when I go to sleep. And then TikTok and Instagram is just the two that I like fill in.
Right. Yeah. Scroll through and see what's going on. So when you say limit yourself, you want to get to a point where you limit yourself. Starting. So if you're on it from morning to from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, what would be, and I'm not saying cold turkey or, I mean, a lot of people cold turkey things, but how do you think that you could start off in terms of limiting?
I feel like first I'd probably start with like once I wake up, give myself like a minute to like eat breakfast, like actually wake up and maybe sit outside for a second or something. I'm hoping if I do get to that, I'll start like reading more or something because I
Mhm.
needed to get a different hobby other than just picking up my phone.
True. And I have to say a lot of us do that.
Yeah.
But I
And I know it'll be
try,
hard, but
yeah. It will be. But I try that if my go-to is my phone, that the first thing that I look at is my Bible or a devotional, and try to read that and journal something or meditate on what the word is and what God is trying to say to me through what I just read. And then I like to share a scripture in the morning, every morning on social media, so that it might help somebody else, or maybe somebody else might have needed to see it. Oh, look, Josh on Sherman's Family Farm said, this is helping me to understand what is going on around my daughter. See, I'm telling you, Miracle, you are doing so much good here. I'm so glad. I mean, then here you have a parent that is saying that they needed to hear that. So
yeah, that's cool.
yeah, very. Okay. Trying to see if I see anything else. Thanks, Don Acres. Thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up. We really appreciate that. See, Goat Days, it could have gone either way. Thank God she learned from it instead of falling in the same trap. True that. Okay. So I'm going to ask you, thank you, Cora Phelps. Well, that is such a beautiful name. It is. Hi, Dog Man. Thanks for coming in. Thank you, Johnny, for coming in. Everyone says you're doing an amazing job, and we're so glad that you're here. And thank you for sharing your story with us, Miracle. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions before we hop off, because I know it's already 8 o'clock, and I want to be respectful of your time. I know you have to get ready to go to school tomorrow. What is some advice that you would give, because you seem to have such a great head on your shoulders in terms of, and I know there are pressures, and I mean, there's pressures for everybody, in school, as an adult, at jobs, just there's pressures. But what, with the great head on your shoulder that you have, and in terms of not really feeling too pressured about when you graduate and go into school, that you're already kind of in tech, and going to tech and doing some business classes and things like that, which is amazing. What kind of advice would you give to someone who might be feeling the pressure of, gosh, we're getting ready to graduate, Miracle, and I don't know what I'm going to do. What would you say to someone who might be feeling pressure?
I would probably say something like, if there really was like feeling pressure, that you once you graduate, you do have like all the time to really figure out what you want to do. But I would tell them not to don't get too comfortable in not doing anything, because you'll get stuck in that and you won't end up doing anything. So, but don't feel pressured about it, because you obviously have time. Just pray about it.
I love that. That is the perfect advice. Yeah, don't feel pressured, but also don't sit around too long and wait too long, because then you will
Yeah.
get stuck in that for sure. And to pray about it, man. Yeah, David, you've done a fantastic job. This child, I love her. I'm going to read a couple more comments and then I'm going to ask you the final question and then we're going to go. So another comment here was when we were talking about being a Christian school, it says it's so hard to be a Christian young lady in public school these days. My daughter, who is 17, has no friends at school due to this. She only does virtual school this year. Yeah, man, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Dogman says at your age, he was getting into trouble. He left school and joined the army. School has never been a good place to be in my eyes. So that was his experience. I understand that. Cheryl Guest says, I was lucky to have a high school sweetheart and he didn't care if I was putting out because he knew me so well. We grew up together. I'm assuming that you're saying he didn't care if you were not putting out, or maybe he didn't care if you were. I'm really not sure how to respond to that. And I'm so sorry that I don't. Maybe the way that I read it. Let's see. Josh says, if the Lord gives us a sign, we need to run with it. Don't hesitate. That's right. Okay. I'm scrolling down. Christine with the Mrs. Gillen Farm says, I agree, Jan. 3 of our grandsons are in public school and it is getting bad. So is it, do you feel like it's bad in your school in terms of, tell me what you think.
I feel like if you're going to a public school and you are like Christian, that's what you're full on that, there's definitely a lot of bad influences and like probably a lot of temptations to make you want to not like to go with everybody else or something, because there's just so many people who that's not what they're worried about.
Totally. Yes. I
And
totally
you get
agree.
seen
Okay, you cut out just a little bit. You said there was a lot of temptation and
yeah, and the way at a public school you get seen like almost as like a weird kid or something, like you get seen a lot differently than what you would.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, even one of our friends here, he says, I totally get this. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that with what you're sharing, older and younger, and as parents and as kids in school, we're getting it. Let's see here. Okay. Simply Jan says, Miracle, I know how wise you are and you're going to make the right decisions. Oh, hi, Grandma Frankie's Stories. Wow. Thanks for coming in. I've never seen you in on my channel. Thank you so much. So she says exactly. Kids need to find out what they want to do and not what everyone else is telling them to do. Unfortunately, you can tell when people hate their job or career. That is the truth. Thank you, Grandma Frankie, for coming in. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad that you did. And so some of these comments look like when we were talking about when parents kind of push their kids into stuff. Bowen with Thunderstick Homestead says, I think some parents push their kids into a career that will take care of them, even if the kid doesn't love that career. My parents wanted me to be a graphic designer and I hated computers. Thanks for your honesty. Thank you. Haley K says, do you have any goals after high school? Okay, there's a question for you. I know we're going a little long and I'm about to hop off, I promise.
I don't know. I just want to eventually make sure I'm to the point where I'm successful or independent. That I mainly want to be independent for sure.
Mm,
Where I don't need to worry about nobody else taking care of me or anything.
yes, I love that. See, it looks like your dad says, I tell her all the time to follow her heart on any big decisions. Grandma Frankie stories. I'm so glad that you're here. Well, okay. So my question is, and thank you everybody for your comments. One thing that you can do tomorrow, Miracle, is you can go back through if you hop on this channel and you look in the live chat. You can go through and read everybody's comments and see what everyone
Okay.
has said, which is great. Let's see. Brian with the Vineyard Farmhouse is asking me, do your friends remember Pooch when you were growing up? Yes, they do. They remember him. And I just remember hearing when something bad was happening that Mike Ross was involved, and that's his name is Mike Ross. He was involved, and I was like, oh my gosh, that guy sounds like such a troublemaker. He's very sweet now. Let's see. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go. I want to ask you this question. And thank you everybody for being in the chat. And thank you everyone that is praying for Miracle and praying for the kids that are seniors in high school and or maybe even junior high who are trying to figure their way out because it's a hard place. And I will say this too, Miracle. My son, after graduated from college, so he went to high school and then he went to college. He took the summer off, and then I was like, hey, let's go. We got to think of something. No
Mhm.
pressure, but like you said, no pressure, but we can't sit here all day. So we got to
Mhm.
do something. And okay, and then 2 more comments. Sorry, I see something specifically. But when he graduated from college, he was then like, okay, now what? So it was almost like graduate from high school. Now what? He graduated from college. Now what? So, okay. So Haley K says moving from families never easy. As someone who's been gone for 3 of 4 years or 3/4 of a year or 3 out of 4 years now, my mom is still sad, but she's happy I'm thriving. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my aunt,
Oh, okay. Hi, Aunt. Is it Hallie or Haley?
Haley.
Oh, I'm sorry. Haley. I love that. Thank you for that. Christina Dion is here. Do you know who she is?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, Christina, thanks for coming in. Oh, my word. Some new people. Look what you did. Miracle. Christina says, please pray for me. I'm going through a tough time at work, handling a rude boss, pressuring mean clients, cunning colleagues, and a heavy workload. I'm panicked, I'm frustrated and fed up and exhausted and stressed out. Okay, Christina, I'm going to write your name down. Most definitely will be praying for you because there seems to be a lot of pressure, not just, like I said, not just graduating, but also look as an adult in a job where, yikes, lots of stuff going on. And thank you guys all for your comments. Thank you guys. Thank you, Goat Days, for saying that you'll pray. All right, lots of great comments. And again, you'll have to go back and look at these because we'll be here for a while. And thank you for everyone that came in to support Miracle as well as the podcast. I do see a ton of great comments. So, Miracle, final question. And I know that you're young, but from maybe the time that you were younger to the time now, who is, and I ask everybody this question, and the time that you've grown and you're very mature, who is Miracle today? Who are you today? Who would you say that you are today?
Oh, I don't really know. That's kind of hard to answer. I'm I don't know. I don't know how to answer it.
Okay, that's okay. Would you say that you are a Jesus follower, a Christian?
Yes, I am. I'm not where I know that I should be, but
Mm.
I'm just thankful that I know like I know what I should be doing and stuff.
Mm.
Like I'm glad that I know about it, and I'm not like I know that that's basically for me to my goals to be an independent woman and stuff. I know that I need to put my faith in God and all my trust, everything, and it'll happen.
Mm. I love that. So you know where your foundation is.
Yeah.
That what your foundation is. That's fantastic. You're brilliant. You are beautiful. And you have made such a difference. Like this is the most, I'm not kidding, and I'm not just saying this. But seriously, Miracle, this is the most comments that I've had on my podcast. And so I thank you for coming on and for helping open the lines of communication for people to be able to share as a parent, as well as young people that have commented as well. And for people that are going to be listening to this in the future, and they're going to know, wow, I'm not alone. And
Mhm.
she feels that way. Thank God, because I feel the
Yeah.
same. And so I'm so grateful for you to come on and being your true, real, authentic self, and for being so honest and genuine. So thank you so much for coming on and for sharing. I so appreciate you.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end this live, and I want to thank everybody that came in and everybody that commented. And yeah, she is most definitely amazing. And I can't wait to hear how your prom goes. And I can't wait to see graduation pictures. And oh my gosh, I hope we stay in touch because you're a lovely young lady. And if you ever want to come back on and chat about anything, just let me know.
Yeah, this was fun. I was nervous at first, but it was actually I liked it. It was fun.
Good. Oh, good. I'm so glad. Thank you. I'm so glad that you had fun, and thank you
Mhm.
for sharing. And like I said, if you have anything, or you and your friends want to come on and talk about anything, feel free to get them together and you guys come on, because you've made such a difference tonight. I
Yeah.
guarantee that. So thank you so much. I hope you have a good night and a good day in school tomorrow.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys later. Hey, next Monday, if you're still on here and you're listening, next Monday, October the 2nd, Jess with Tree Haven is coming on with his brother, Michael. Michael was incarcerated and has been out now for a few years, and he's doing amazing things to help other people who are trying to learn how to live outside of being in prison. So you guys don't want to miss that. And Jess is coming on to support his brother. So we will see you guys next Monday at 6:30. We're going to have a special time because we have a lot to talk about. 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you for your love, support, and likes and comments. And I hope you guys all have a good night. And thank you so much, Miracle. And I will
Mhm.
see you guys next week.
There's no judgment, only grace. Every scar has a sacred place. In the truth, we're not alone. Every story finds a home. Come as you are, don't be afraid. You belong here anyway. We rise in love, we heal in trust. This is where real begins, no judgment. This is your Prospera era, where dreams align with grace, abundance flows like rivers. You've stepped into your place. Rise, reign, and remember, you were born to shine. Welcome to your moment, Prospera, it's time.
We hope you enjoyed today's show on Prospera TV Network. Make it a point to visit us on YouTube and catch all your favorite shows anytime you want. Interested in hosting a show of your own? Or advertising your business on our network? Contact Elena Rodriguez.